And he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Paul and Melanie Billings had invited me to come to Bishkek to record the worship team there for what would be the first worship album in the Kyrgyz language. And I was really excited about the opportunity. I had just recently gotten into recording music, and so I couldn't wait to get there. But as I started to learn more and just kind of prepare, I started to get really overwhelmed just with with the process and understanding that there were so many things I still needed. I needed better equipment and better mics and drum heads and all these different things. Things just seemed to get more and more overwhelming. I realized that I didn't have enough money. I didn't have any money on me to travel. So I didn't have money to get a visa when I got to Kyrgyzstan. And once I got there, I lost my voice. And the church building where we recorded was freezing cold. And there were so many other issues. Melanie lost her voice. And there were relationship issues on the team, and we had far less to work with than I thought originally. The breaking point really came for me about a week into the recording, when my sisters Renee and Mel, they came into the church and handed me a phone with Steffi on the other end. She was pregnant at the time, but had just found out that she miscarried very early on. And I remember, as I hung up, I just sat there, just kind of frozen, and just trying to figure out what was going on. What am I doing here? And maybe we should come back and try this again when we're more prepared. And all I wanted to do was just go home at that point. And I remember Mel went into the control room and told Ravil, who was tracking vocals at the time, told him about the situation. And I remember walking in and seeing him crying, and that really touched me. And we just kind of talked and finally decided that we should just keep going. And the song we were doing couldn't have been more perfect for the situation. It was Jesus Messiah, the song, and we were tracking the bridge right then. And I remember it was such a powerful moment as Ravil sang, in Kyrgyz, "All our hope is in you, all our hope is in you, all the glory to you, God, the light of the world." So a little over a week later, I finally made it home, and Steffi was still in the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and about 2 days later, she was released. And right then, Katie got sick with pneumonia, our first daughter. That was really when the Lord kind of started to really just kind of bring it all together for me. Actually, before I went to Bishkek, while I was still in Budapest, my mom called me. And she said she had a vision that the Lord gave her, and she said she saw me as a little boy in this plastic armor, dressed up as a knight, and I was going into battle, into a real battle with this plastic armor. So it's kind of this absurd picture. Behind me stood the Lord, and He was the one doing the fighting for me, and that really kind of summed up that whole trip. And it kind of felt like Gideon with his 300 men. Right? He started with an army of 30,000 against 100,000. The Lord gradually brought that number down to 300 men, which is really an impossible number. Just to show Gideon that if there was going to be a victory, it was going to be of the Lord. So many times when the Lord calls us to something, I think so often we respond by thinking, oh, I need more time, I need more resources, or finances, or whatever it may be. I think the Lord so often responds to that by saying, no, my grace is sufficient for you. and my strength is made perfect in weakness. And really the central part of that song is the second half of the second verse, where it finally says, all your ways are higher than mine. I lay my weapons down for your might. God, you are able.
The strength in my weakness. The strength in my weakness.